This video is part of the How to Use Microsoft Access 2003 series, produced by ICT Co UK. I'm going to show you how to produce an invoice for a sales transaction. In this video, I'm going to show you how to produce the query for the invoice. The invoice itself will be produced as a report. Now the query, create query and design view, we need the customer table, the sale table and the product table in the query. And we need to just adjust the height of these bars so that we can see each of the tables. Now the query is based upon the transaction data in table sale, and if I put those fields into the query design grid, we can see that without a filter we see all of the sales data, which is customer IDs and the product IDs that they've bought on the dates that they've bought it. Now we're going to be interested in this last transaction here to customer number 69, who bought products 17, 3 and 40 on the 23rd of November. We are aiming to produce an invoice, a printed invoice, which shows all the customer details and the product details with a total. So we need to filter the query, put a filter in the query so that only that customer comes through. Now, a simple way of doing that is just to type in 69, which we saw as the customer ID, and to put in the date. For simplicity, I'll just copy that from there and put the date in and run the query. And that's the information. Well, it's not really the information, it's just the data, it's just the numbers. That's no good for an invoice. So we need to take advantage of the fact that these three tables are linked together, which means that they behave as if they are one table, and add in the customer name and the product name and the price. And now if we look at the result of running the query, we can see that we're starting to get the information that we need. We can see it's Alex Camino, and he bought Alice mutton, aniseed syrup and Boston crab meat. However, typing in the customer ID and typing in the date is not a very convenient way of producing an invoice. So we can actually take advantage of another feature of Microsoft Access known as Query by Form. If I open up the sales form by clicking on Manage Sales Records, we have here the sales form, and go to that last record, we can see Alex's Boston crab meat, and if we step back we can see the other two items. Now we can see it's customer 69 here, and we can see the sale date on this form. If we go back to the query and we change the 69, or we go to the 69 and we right button on the mouse and then click on the build button, we can then open up the forms and loaded forms, and there is our form sale. You've got to have form sale open to take advantage of that feature. And then we just need to find that FK stands for foreign key, to make it clear that that is the foreign key. Customer ID, double click, puts forms, form sale, form customer ID. Press OK, and that code is then put in for Microsoft Access, so that when we run the query, Microsoft Access knows that it's got to go to the forms objects, find form sale, and look for the object foreign key customer ID, which is a text box. If I now run the query, we can see that it's filtered and it's picking up number 69 from the sales form here. If I close that query again, and I'll save it as query invoice, a sensible name for it, already exists, I'll just overwrite that. And if I change to a different customer, customer number 19, and I run that query again, we'll see that we now see customer number 19's details. So we've done the first stage of making the query to produce the invoice. Now we've got the sales date sitting there as a literal value. We again need to do the right click, build forms, loaded forms, forms sale, and then we need to pick up the text box sale date, double click, and that's written in there for us, and we can test it, and there we see Anne Devon coming up. And if we go back to the sales record, let's go back to Alex Caminos and then run the query, and we can see that we're getting just the records that we want. If we're going to produce an invoice, we also need to put the customer's address, etc. on. I don't think we need to put the country on, and we can add those after the customer's name to the query. So there we have it. We have a query which will filter the database using query by form to produce just the sales transactions that we want to go onto the invoice. In the second part of this series, I will show you how to produce the report.